Tens of thousands of white collar jobs are vanishing right now, partially because of AI. And for people that still have their jobs, a lot of them hate it and are really unhappy, but feel like they can't leave because of how stagnant everything is. And I think what's happening in the wider job market is really changing and messing with our relationship to money in many ways that we haven't even fully realized yet. I saw somewhere this being called kind of the great detachment. And I think we're seeing that play out in a lot of the ways that people are interacting with the economy. And we are sort of living in two different economies. And I've talked before about kind of the K-shaped recovery and how recovery from the kind of COVID has been uneven, where the rich have gotten richer and poor people continue to struggle and are disproportionately affected by things like inflation and layoffs. And there's kind of these two alternate realities where some people feel like the economy is completely fine, wealthy people, while everybody else feels like they are barely getting ahead. And there's also a generational divide here. There have been a couple articles that have come out recently about how older generations, specifically baby boomers, feel like the economy is fine. The market is up, home prices are up, which are two things that they heavily participate in. But younger generations can't afford homes, can't afford stable jobs, are drowning in debt. And so again, that's this idea of these two completely different realities, and that creates this very weird psychological split for a lot of people. For so many of us, especially in America, work is not just how we pay the bills, it is what gives our lives meaning. In a country that is very uniquely capitalistic, believes very much in the meritocracy, we often intrinsically tie up our work with our identity. So when we don't feel fulfilled at work or we get laid off, that leads to a huge identity shift and can make people feel like they are failing kind of at life. And this is tied up in the idea of like workism, which is like the religion of work, and the idea that work has replaced kind of all other things that used to give us purpose, like community and relationships. And so I think what a lot isn't getting talked about enough is that, yes, there is an economic crisis happening with AI threatening people's jobs and people feeling very burnt out and feeling like work is meaningless, but it also is very much an identity crisis. And I write about this extensively in my newsletter, but I write a lot about how this economic precarity that a lot of people are feeling is not just monetary. It is also this idea that we are being convinced that our worth as humans is being tied to productivity. And now that productivity in many ways is being automated away. And I think that's leading to this sort of collective crisis about like, what is our purpose, how we're kind of meant to do things. And I think that's driving a lot of the money anxiety that we're currently seeing in our society. And if you're interested in reading more about these trends and kind of how to detach and decouple your identity from money making and work, I break all this down in my newsletter. You can find the link in my bio.